Welcome to the Perfect Life Awakening Show, hosted by Royce Morales. Royce has been a transformational facilitator, teaching groundbreaking, spiritually based courses for more than 4 decades. She is the author of 3 books about her teachings. Join Royce as she takes you on a journey into how to live your best life and find your true purpose through discovering the origins of subconscious, disempowering notions and releasing them. She talks with experts and inspiring people just like you who learned to trust their intuitive inner wisdom, which led to life-changing shifts. Today, her guests live an empowered existence and are helping change the world to a higher consciousness place based on truth and love. You deserve to awaken to, align with, and embody your true self and live a life filled with love. Transform yourself from triggered to empowered and create your perfect life. Here is your host, Royce Morales.
Wow, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited with my next guest. Oh my gosh. I just have to tell you a little bit about my own relationship with energy and all that woo-woo stuff. I started my spiritual journey a long time ago, decades ago, actually my whole life, but that's another story. And I used to suffer from very debilitating headaches. And I was involved in an organization that did channeling. And one of the students there said, well, let me try to do some energy on you. And I said, okay, fine. My middle name was Skeptic. I was still questioning every single thing that I was learning. And I sat there and she put her hands near me, did an energy thing on me. My headaches went away. And that changed my life. It really did. The skepticism still there, but not as bad, started to go away. And I thought, wow, this energy stuff is pretty cool. So from that point on, I kind of studied it and used it and played around with it. And now it's just a natural part of my life, that sort of awareness that, yes, energy exists and you can't really see it, but you can feel it and it causes changes. But that's completely different from what Tom Paladino is going to talk about today, which absolutely blows my mind. And I have to say, I've never interviewed a scientist before. My brain doesn't work in logic. It works in intuitiveness. So I apologize in advance if I sound like a blithering idiot with these questions, but I just want to give you a little bit of background about Tom. First of all, he began research with scalar energy due to a deep admiration for the father of scalar energy research, Nikola Tesla. The energy is from the stars and the sun, and it's not found within the electromagnetic spectrum, which is amazing to me. He came up with a way to harness this unique energy by developing an instrument called Scalar Light, and he's going to demonstrate that today. He's able to do remote healings by scanning a person's photographic image. I just think that's phenomenal. I actually signed up for it, so I can be your example today.
Thank you.
Yeah, his remarkable system, it helps restore health and quality of life, as well as deep sleep. Other things that I have to ask you about that have just recently happened to me since I started this energy work. Enhanced mood, regaining zest for life. Several different programs addressing various issues such as addictiveness, digestion, hormone imbalance. It even works on pets. It is truly amazing. And he's going to explain how all of this works. Plus, he's going to give you 15 days of free scalar energy light sessions. So you can see for yourself about this powerful energy. So Tom, welcome.
And thank you.
I'm so thrilled that you're here. You have no idea how excited I am.
Yeah, I thank you for the invite. Thanks, Royce.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about you, your background, how you got started in this.
Okay. I'd say as a youngster, I was very inquisitive. I was always inquiring as to why nature worked. How did nature work? And the scientist that really struck my chord was Nikola Tesla. I studied Tesla, at least in theory, as a youngster. And I came to the conclusion that not only is he a genius, but he understood that there's two energies in the universe. Later in his life, Tesla was working with what he called radiant energy. So I've made it a career to follow radiant energy or scalar energy. And that's what we're going to discuss today. This lifelong passion that I have for scalar energy.
And so he kind of discovered it, and then you harnessed it. How did that happen?
Yeah. Well, it's been a long journey. I had the fortune of meeting a Hieronymus family. An American inventor by the name of Galen Hieronymus was developing scalar energy instruments later in the 70s and 80s. And I actually purchased an instrument from his family. I never met him. And Hieronymus really is the American version of Tesla. Tesla was a European by birth. So what's my point? This is a generational learning process. Why do I say that? Well, Tesla was the first to discover it, and Hieronymus followed up on it. And Hieronymus had quite a successful career. And then I came along and I took the banner from this family, the Hieronymus family. Now, I want to make that very clear because this is not taught in academia.
Yeah.
One generation from another passing this on. And sadly, it's esoteric knowledge, but it should not be. I'm doing my best to make this mainstream, but I'm not complimented by academia. The universities will not teach this.
Why? Why is that?
I think deep down inside, the invisible hand does not want this. The political system does not want free energy. This instrument behind me is free energy. It's so strong, this instrument could illuminate a light bulb in my hand.
Wow.
To me, that's free energy. And one of the reasons why you don't hear about scalar energy, because it's a threat. It's a new invention. It's a new technology that will threaten, if you will, the economic order.
Oh, we can't have that. Oh my gosh. Wow. So I've read several places in your writing and on your website that this is kind of, how do you describe it? It's like a sort of I'm trying to find the right word, almost like a godlike energy. So how do you explain that?
Yeah. This is not electricity. As a matter of fact, there's no electrons or protons involved with a scalar energy. So what is it? It's spirit energy. It's divine energy. Now, can I prove that? Well, I can prove it by the characteristics of this energy. This energy pervades the universe instantaneously. It transcends time and space. And if that's the case, well, only God can transcend time and space, the creator. I firmly believe what I'm working with is divine energy. I firmly believe that this, in many ways, is a modern day version of the Ark of the Covenant. It carries the divine essence.
Wow. I don't even know where to go with that.
Yeah, I know it really is just so profound. Once people can wrap their head around that there's two energies, and sadly the world is working with the inferior energy, electricity, magnetism, electromagnetic energy, and there's a better energy to work with that doesn't require an infrastructure. The energy pre-exists because it's from the sun and the stars. You don't need a satellite, it's already there. You don't need to triangulate any signal. It's the perfect energy, clean, super abundant. You don't need satellites. Why aren't we speaking about this more often? We should.
Yes, we definitely should. So you've done this, and how are you spreading this around? I mean, if people aren't willing to hear it and it kind of goes over people's heads and all of that, how are you getting it out there?
Gracious people like you, Royce, and gracious people like Om Times to help me get this information out there. Now, to be clear, I'm not bashful about my work, and I present all of my test results on the website. Why isn't this headline news? There is a suppression. This is a free energy instrument. I can send this energy anywhere in the world, anywhere in the solar system for that matter, without the need of an infrastructure. I don't need satellites. I don't need telephone poles. I don't need relay stations. What's the point? Free energy with a free infrastructure This is intimidating to the powers that be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so how does that free energy, besides lighting light bulbs,
Yeah, yeah,
how does it
yeah,
heal? How does it do all of those things that you've described in
yeah.
your website?
That's a good point. So there are many applications of this energy. I only demonstrated one in which you can illuminate a light bulb. Why do I do that? I want to show people that there's so much energy that it can be experienced. I feel the energy on my shoulder right now. Now, to be clear, these are the health benefits, but they're quantum benefits. This is not a biological process. I work with force fields. I work with energy fields on a photograph. This is my photograph that has a signal. What am I getting at? A photograph carries energy. It carries an intelligence. If I place my photograph next to that instrument, I automatically have a chakra balance. There's a download of energy into me. The amount of energy that illuminates that light bulb is now the identical energy that's going into my force field of my aura, illuminating my 7 chakras, illuminating my brain waves. So I work in the quantum realm in which I can access a person through their photograph. Nobody travels to my laboratory. I don't work in the medical field. I want to make that very clear. This is a new science in which we work with energy fields on photographs. A photograph serves as a person's bilocated version. I am in 2 places at once, here in the physical and then also on that photograph.
Wow. That makes total sense to me.
Yes.
What about skeptics? What would I was reading some of the comments that people made
Yeah.
about this work. Most of them were, "Oh my God, this is amazing," and then there were a few of them that said, "Oh, this is total,
Yeah. That,
bunk," for
that's a
lack
good
of a
point.
better word. How
My
do you deal with that?
My predecessor, Galen Hieronymus, was awarded 3 patents for this instrument, a US, a Canadian, and a British patent. So according to those 3 governments, there's merit to this. Now, to follow that up, after we work with people, people will send in a testimony. Here's one of the testimonies. This is a PCR test from a person that after we've worked with them by way of their photograph, this person claims that they have no longer a viral load for herpes. 30 years after being infected, for the first time in their life, there's no viral load for the herpes virus. Now, the testimonies are starting to tell the story. The testimonies are starting to say, yes, there's validity to this. We probably have 4,000 testimonies on our website. That is the beginning body of evidence. Bear in mind, nobody has this instrument, so nobody can prove or disprove my work. How do I prove this? Well, probably to start by the 4,000 testimonies on my website.
Wow. So what else do people experience? Or, again, I mentioned that I signed up for the 15 free days, and
Yep.
I'm noticing it's not like dramatic,
Yeah.
I'm not walking on water all of a sudden, but I'm noticing little things. So
Yeah. Yeah.
tell,
I'll,
tell us
I'll,
what happens.
I'll explain how this works. And it's the key to my work is I remove human thinking. I remove human reasoning. The energy does the work. On account of the fact that I work with the primal force, energy never makes mistakes. Energy follows the immutable laws of science. So follow my thinking here. I'm going to hold up 2 photographs. A magnified photograph of the herpes virus and my photograph. Now, why would I do that? Everything is instructions. Everything is intelligence. I have an instruction and intelligence. The herpes virus has an intelligence. Now, this is how straightforward this is. On account of the fact that we're working with a primal force, and a primal force can control nature. In this case, we can control the herpes virus. By placing these 2 photographs together in the instrument, there's a communication between the energy, the intelligence of herpes, and my force field, my code, my energy field. The instrument will look for the intelligence, the signature of herpes in me. If it finds it, it will bring it to a state of chaos. Scalar energy can negate a virus. It can negate the consciousness of a virus. It can negate the molecular bonds of a virus. So instead of working in person, we work by way of a photograph that represents a person's energy field. My force field is on that photograph. I instruct the instrument to look for the herpes virus in me, find that signature, and negate it, bring it to a state of chaos. And in so doing, by bringing the herpes virus to a state of chaos, it disassembles, if you will, and the result is people no longer have a viral load for herpes.
But you don't have to know what you're trying to heal. The person doesn't have to say, I want you to heal my
That's correct.
herpes.
That's correct. Now, very good. And once again, I take human reasoning out of this equation, and the only thing I rely upon are photographs. Now, if you will, I have over 400,000, I have a library, over 400,000 photographs of microbes. For instance, this is a collage of 15 viruses. If I were to place my photographs side by side and have the two force fields communicate, the force field, the signature of these 15 viruses communicates with my force field. If I had any of those 15 viruses, the Scalar Light instrument would look for those signatures and nullify them. Now, I can prove that in my laboratory by way of photographs, but I have to rely upon people with their testimony and their test results if they feel better. But invariably, if somebody comes to us, say, with herpes or Epstein-Barr, after we work with them, people say that they no longer have the symptoms of herpes or Epstein-Barr. Okay? Now, that cannot be proven by medical science because this is not medical science.
Right.
Working with photographs is a new branch of physics in which we don't work with people, we work with force fields or auras. Some people might call it consciousness or chi or prana or Om. Now, the fact that we're working with Om times,
Right.
there's an Om force. Everything has Om. Scalar energy is Om. My Om force is unique to me. So regardless of where a person is located in the world, if they send me their photograph, I can access their Om energy.
So you've been talking about viruses. What about other things like somebody breaks their arm or, what about things like that?
No, nothing structural yet, and I'll tell you why. I can easily program the instrument with a photograph of, say, of a bacterium, but I can't program the instrument to repair an arm, a broken arm, or correct, say, a genetic disorder. However, I think in the future, once we really understand this energy and how corrective it is and how this is the Om force of the universe, we should be able to correct a broken arm, a dislocation, cancer, genetic disease, Alzheimer's. So we're just at the cusp of this new science. I barely have scratched the surface with this instrument. More powerful administration of scalar energy must be developed, and in so doing, we can have greater reach. Our if you will, our ability will be enhanced. So this is the prototype. This is the beginning. But I anticipate great benefits as we amplify the energy and then learn how to manifest it.
And so, again, I'm kind of thinking technologically here. Everybody needs to have one of these in their house eventually, or is it just one main one?
Here's the drawback. It takes a lot of engineering to develop these instruments. And the problem is it's very expensive. So this is what I recommend that people join us. I want a humanitarian outreach. This is all grassroots on my effort. To be clear, I'm the one scalar energy researcher. Nobody else has taken up my work or the work of my predecessor, Dr. Hieronymus. Back in the 90s when I started, I had some contemporaries. They're deceased. Nobody's left. So what do I envision? A groundswell of support. Let's work together with the scalar team that I've assembled. And by way of miniaturized photographs, we could work with millions of people a day.
Wow.
So we don't need millions of instruments. We need millions of people to get involved and send us millions of photographs.
Which is what you're asking people to do.
Yes, that's how we scale. Then that's how we can achieve economies of scale. Now, to be very clear, Tesla had a gigantic Scalar Energy Tower in Long Island, New York at the turn of the century, over 100 years ago. The problem with that is he ran out of funding. The problem, there was a barrier to entry. The problem was that the bankers that day did not want free energy. So what's my point? I have to keep this down to a manageable scale. I can't depend upon bankers, and I have to be able to use this energy and convince people that it works. I do not want to fall into the same pattern that Tesla was in, depending upon money. I can't do that. Depending upon, if you will, the media to embrace this. Many times they won't. I have to rely upon a grassroots effort.
Wow. So, again, I'm just kind of blown away and tongue-tied and all of that. So,
I'll share something with your audience.
Okay, good.
And I'm all about proof, by the way.
Yes.
Talk is cheap. Go to my website and you'll see the testimonies. Then you judge. Now, here's a testimony. There's a clinic in India, Om Prakash. We're working with this clinic. It's a HIV/AIDS clinic in Delhi, India. And you could see people have assembled here. They're using our banner and they're saying, yes, Scalar Energy is part of their community. Now, we've worked with over 5,000 people by way of a photograph from Om Prakash. I've received thousands of photographs from this clinic. Everybody who was at one time HIV positive, after our sessions, no longer has a viral load for HIV.
Wow.
Nobody. And that's 5,000 people from this clinic in Delhi, India that we've worked with. Now, I'll let your audience digest that and come to their conclusion.
Yes. That everything you're saying could absolutely change the world.
Yes.
It's blowing me away. Yeah.
There is an Om force. Scalar energy is the Om. The Om permeates the universe. It's consciousness. It's chi, prana. Some people call that 0-point energy. It's very real, and it's not electricity. It far surpasses the electromagnetic spectrum in capability.
Wow. Well, we need to take a couple-minute break here. Meanwhile, I'm going to noodle around and come up with some other questions because you're blowing my mind. And I'll actually kind of leave the floor open for you to share whatever else you need to share. But we'll be right back. We're listening to Tom.
Om Times TV. Do you crave joy but feel stuck? Do you go through life feeling constantly triggered and frustrated? Fear is likely the culprit, and subconscious fear is likely sabotaging you. Perfect Life Awakening is a time-tested, spiritually based approach to inner transformation created by Royce Morales. For over 40 years, she has helped people get to the origins of subconscious fears and ultimately help them find their true purpose and a life full of joy. Sign up for Perfect Life Awakening today at roycemorales.com. You deserve to go from triggered to empowered, shifting your life with Perfect Life Awakening. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples apples and bananas.
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back. I'm talking with Tom Paladino about the miraculous power of scalar energy. And like I said, before we went into the break, I'm blown away. I'm at a loss for words. So, excuse me, I do want to ask a couple of things. You're mentioning that that this energy is unlimited and can put an end, which of course could put an end to the energy crisis. But what about climate change? How would it help with that?
Dramatically. Let me be clear. Earlier today in my laboratory, I was working with 500,000 photographs.
Wow.
500,000 photographs. So we're already on our way to quantum healing through the global community. Now, if I can send energy to 500,000 people, their force field, it's not biological, then why can't I send energy to 500,000 light bulbs? If eventually the instrument will be so strong, I'll not be able to light up a light bulb, not only locally, but at a distance. And I want to make this clear, and I'm going to show the audience. I'm going to answer your question, but allow me. I'm going to show how the energy passes through a wooden board. This is a culinary board. And if I place that by the instrument still will send energy through the wooden board. So what's the point? Nothing stops scalar energy. Okay? This energy is everywhere and nothing can stop it. So we have not only free energy, but we have the means to send this energy anywhere in the world, solar system, or universe for that matter. Okay, so it's free energy from the sun and the stars. Nothing can impede its signal. Now, remember earlier I said there's no electrons or protons involved. It's massless. It's Om. It's spirit. This is spirit energy. There's no physical components. It's non-physical. So we're going to power the world with non-physical energy so that there's no physical pollution.
Wow. Well, yeah, that'll change everything.
Yes. We all the solutions are here. It's herein solved. All of our problems are consummately addressed by scalar energy. There's no pollution. It's infinite energy. It can pass through a mountain range. We need to use scalar energy to power the world.
Yeah. So I just had a strange thought, skeptic that I am, not really skeptical, but just knowing how people are, would people be able to abuse this energy in any way? Get in the wrong hands?
To be blunt, yes, they could. So I guard the technology. I will not mass produce these instruments. I want this to be, if you will, in the hands of just the chosen. And I've always said, Royce, great technology requires great morality. And I wish we would have seen that in the armaments that we use today and the weaponry that we use today, because war is really unconscionable now. It's crazy. It's madness. It's madness.
It is. Yeah. I know. Every morning I wake up and read the news and go, are people ever going to get it? It's just insane.
It really is.
Okay. So yes, it can end climate change. And you said something about scalar energy is not bound by time or distance.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
It's Ohm. Is Ohm bound? Can you put Ohm in a parameter in a box? No. Now, consider this. Consciousness, Ohm, scalar energy, those are all synonymous terms. You can't measure consciousness. Why? It's infinite. You can't measure scalar energy. It's infinite. You cannot measure Ohm, the Ohm force. It's infinite. So the point is this. This is the presence of God. It has to be some divine presence because it's everywhere instantaneously, and you cannot in any way experience entropy. There can never be a loss of energy or the loss of the signal. So it's a constant pulsation, if you will. Well, that all has the earmarkings of divine energy, and that's firmly what I believe we've tapped into. Now, this is why Tesla began his career as an AC electrical engineer And later in his life, most of his instruments did not have any moving parts. Why? They were scalar energy instruments.
Hmm.
You don't need an induction motor. Tesla is to be attributed to bringing to the world the induction motor, some type of motor that has an armature that rotates. Well, you don't need any motion. The motion is from the sun and the stars. Now, the new power plant are the sun and the stars. And this is why, if you really look closely at Tesla's inventions, even at his tower in Wardenclyffe, there's no moving parts. There's no electrical wires. He didn't need them. All the energy was taken from the sun and the stars.
Wow. I just have to ask, how do you feel about the automobile using his name?
I like that because they're giving him a credence, and now Tesla's become a household name. And nonetheless, it's a battery, some type of DC power battery. But give Elon Musk and his fellow workers all the credit in the world. We have to promulgate the name Tesla. We have to revisit Tesla's work. Tesla, over 100 years ago, was developing free energy instruments. We should have listened to him. That would have changed the course of the world. That would have changed the economic order. It would have changed the social order. It would have changed everything.
Wow. So besides reaching thousands and millions of people, how can we change the entire structure of energy in this world to get people to say, oh, wow, we don't need these, energy companies anymore?
To be quite candid, you cannot play their game, Royce.
Yeah.
You can't play their game. So what am I doing? I don't play in the medical field. I play in the quantum field, okay, which is perfectly upright and legal.
Yeah.
Because it's a new science. I only work with photographs. I never work with people. Now, in the future, if we start illuminating objects at a distance, I think the world then will accept the fact that this is valid, and the world will ask for this. The world will beg for free energy. If we can demonstrate that experiment at a distance, we can light up a building at a distance. This would be the master plan of God. This is my master plan, and I hope to follow through the remaining years of my life with that plan.
So when you say God energy, how do people react to that?
Well, most people, I think, they realize if you have a supreme force, that's what Om is, consciousness, and that nothing precedes that. You have to probably most likely have an uncreated God who created consciousness, or Om, or created scalar energy. Most people can accept that, regardless of their faith, regardless of their philosophical beliefs. Many people believe that there's a supreme force or a supreme being. That's what I'm working with. Without equivocation, scalar energy is an attribute of God.
Yes, clearly.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about some other amazing results from all this.
I have many friends in Hawaii. Hawaii's been suffering from a blight, fungal blight. There's a fungus, Ceratocystis, and that fungus causes the ohia tree to die. It strangles the vascular system, more or less. Well, the people from Hawaii have been sending me photographs of the ohia tree, and I've been treating the ohia tree with my instrument. And after I treat these trees, they come back to life, or they no longer suffer from the blight. So whether it's a person, an animal, or a plant, we can work by way of a photograph, and with everybody, including people, animals, and the ohia trees, have a force field. And I access their force field by way of a scalar energy instrument. So you can see that the broad scale possibilities here, that we could work with agriculture. My predecessor, Hieronymus, was doing that. He was working with farmers, and he was able to eradicate certain types of blight, fungal blight, in farm fields.
Wow. So when I shared my story about somebody, doing energy work on me, how is that different from scalar energy?
It's identical. For instance, people who have healing hands. You've heard of people with healing hands. That's scalar energy. That's not electricity.
Right.
The healing is from the intelligence, scalar intelligence. Scalar hands are Om hands, are consciousness. People who can heal by prayer or meditation, That's ohm force or consciousness or scalar energy. Why? Because it carries instructions. Many people now have to inculcate this belief that energy is intelligence. It's not simply fire and light, it's intelligence. And if you have intelligent hands, you have healing hands. If you have the ability to heal by way of your mind or have some type of gift of clairvoyance, clairvoyance is scalar energy. Clairvoyance is the ohm force that you appreciate, that you understand. Once we get into this, we realize that scalar energy is the communication system for the universe, including prophecy, including healing hands, including deja vu, inclusive of creativity and any type of cognitive thought. A thought transcends time and space. It's a scalar wave. If scalar energy transcends time and space, then a thought is an example of a scalar wave.
So what about people that abuse that power? I mean, I work with people and
Yeah.
I explain to them it's really important to have pure motives and to not do things that, shall we say, prevent somebody from doing what they need to do. Like, the example I always give, you might be watching your grandson playing baseball and sending him energy to hit a home run, but that is manipulating him in some way. How do you address that sort of thought?
I think we now realize how powerful thought is, how powerful prayer is, how powerful the spoken word is, and you have to guard your thoughts and your speech, what you're saying, because it has consequences. Now, this gives credence to the people who say think positive thoughts. Why? You're going to have a positive outcome. If you want to be what I would consider a negative person with negative thoughts or thoughts of destruction, that's what you're going to inherit for yourself and those around you. So keep in mind, a thought is a scalar wave, and what you think is what you project, and ultimately what you're going to get in life, what you will inherit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And is it okay to send positive thoughts to people?
Of course.
I think there's a very fine line between just loving them and sending them positive thoughts versus you better make a home run.
Oh, okay. I get your point. Yeah, well, you have to, whatever is God's will. I would say this, that our positive affirmations prayer, I pray every day, and our good intentions, that will manifest as it needs to manifest. I don't try and dictate nature or the hand of God. I simply work my way into that fabric, and by positive thought and prayer, I can change the world. And as it's dictated by God, that will be the outcome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's what I like so much about your program, because I just sent you my photograph and I didn't say, here's what I want you to do. I have this issue and that problem, and I just sent it, here you go.
Yep. And this is what I like about my program also. I don't claim to be a medical professional. I'm
Right.
not. That's not my proclivity. I have proficiency in energy instruments that work with a force field. And to be clear, all of my work is non-physical, so there's no chemical reaction. Now, why do I say that? You cannot have a rash or if you will, chemical detox. You cannot experience a Herxheimer reaction. You cannot experience dizziness or fatigue. The energy of the stars does not produce a medical condition. This is not medicine. It's a new branch of physics.
Yeah. I just noticed that I circled one of the paragraphs that I printed out from your website, and it says that several different programs addressing various issues such as addictiveness, metabolism, digestion, as I was mentioning before, hormone imbalance.
Mm-hmm.
So how does it work on that?
Yes. Okay. Well, we have a program. It's known as endorphins and neurotransmitters. I'm going to hold up a photograph of serotonin. Now, everything has energy, including a photograph of serotonin. What is this photograph? It's the energy of the endorphin, of the neurotransmitter. If I place my photograph side by side, what happens is there is a download of this happy chemical, not as a chemical, but as a signal into me. In this serotonin would be downloaded into me as a signal, as, if you will, intelligence. And the people who go under our endorphin neurotransmitter programs say that they're happier. Well, it makes sense. We're sending happy information into you, not the chemical. We're sending the energy of serotonin into a person, or the energy, if you will, of dopamine into a person. Now, does that work? Well, according to the people who visit our website, yes, it works very well because they're happier. Can I explain that from a biological standpoint? No. How is it that energy is downloaded into my photograph of dopamine? That's the new science. That's the Ohm science. There is veracity to Ohm. There is veracity to scalar energy, and we're proving it by my testimonies. The testimonies, there's thousands of testimonies that say, yes, there is a connection. It's not a chemical connection. It's a connection that we have to explore using physics that's not Newtonian. We have to use the physics of Tesla, scalar physics.
Wow. You also say that scalar energy is the cause of gravity. How does explain that? Wow.
There's a great Russian scientist, Viktor Grebennikov, and he was able to develop scalar energy platforms, and he could hover and he could move about without propulsion with these scalar energy platforms. How did he do that? He negated gravity. Now, this anti-gravity platform did not have a propulsion system. He simply manipulated scalar energy that in turn would negate gravity. And because of that, he could accelerate purportedly at 800 miles an hour without any G-forces. Now, in so doing, his, if you will, physical body never experienced any G-forces. Why? He was in a scalar energy environment on this anti-gravity platform, and he was able to overcome or subdue gravity. Hence, the supreme force, scalar energy, is the cause of gravity. Viktor Grebennikov proved that. I believe firmly that scalar energy is the cause of gravity. And once we can control scalar energy, we will be able to overcome gravity and move about without a system of combustion engine or propulsion. We'll simply manipulate gravity. It's that simple.
So we can fly to Europe and
yes.
Wow.
Without any G forces. Viktor Grebennikov, look it up. He's well established in Russia. It's valid.
How do you spell his name?
Grebennikov, Grennibob, Grebennikov, Kov. Viktor Grebennikov.
Amazing. Okay, so I have one more question, but I want you to just free range whatever it is you need to say about this amazing work, and then I'm going to lead to my final question.
Sure.
So, what else would you like to tell us?
Okay. One more thing. Well, what I want to encourage people is just to try these sessions. We give away 15 days of free sessions. What I've discovered is groundbreaking, to be quite frank about it. It's groundbreaking. But I have to prove this now. And the only way I can prove this, because it's not taught in academia, there is no established science, I have to prove this by people. So this is a grassroots movement from start to finish. So what's the point? If you ever wanted to be on the ground floor of something that's going to change the world, on the grassroots level, join us. And if you want to participate, get in contact with me. I have to get this invention out there. I have to present this to the world, but I have to do it appropriately and through the proper channels. Ohm Times is a great channel to promulgate this, because people are open to this, and at least they'll look at the results. They'll at least be very objective and say, well, there's great results. Let's move forward.
And so how do they get in touch with you?
The website is scalarlight.com, SCALAR, scalarlight.com. In order to prove this, I offer anybody in the world 15 days of free sessions. You can send us your photographs and include your pets if you want. Family members, you can include their photographs, get their permission. The key is proving this now. I could talk all day long. That's meaningless. Prove it. I have to prove it by giving away 15 days of free sessions. That's our policy on our website.
And so after 15 days, do you recommend doing more? How does that work?
I'd say the majority of people have felt better. The majority of people feel the chakra balancing. They feel the pathogenic cleanse. They feel better. I leave it up to people. Most people will come back once or twice a year for a couple months, treat themselves, they'll feel better, and then they'll go off the program. So it's a maintenance program. It's not necessarily an ongoing program for people, but it's a maintenance program that many people like. Does it work? Well, according to 4,000 testimonies, it works.
Yeah. And so then it works, and then what happens then? What do people do? I mean, what is your plan once people send you this?
Yeah, well, once people try the 15-day session, then they start telling others. That's the indirect effect, if you will. That's a grassroots movement. Now, to be clear, I don't have big money behind me. There's no investors. I'm at this alone, so I cannot afford to run a full-fledged company or advertise. I don't have the advertising budget. I have to rely upon people to spread the word. It has to be grassroots. Now, if Tesla would have had the internet, he would have been able to promulgate this regardless of the suppression that he experienced. Well, at least I have the internet. Yes, there's suppression today. We know that. The media is not honest, but I have the people. So I am appealing to people out there. I appeal to those who are in earshot of this conversation. This is a new science that will benefit mankind. Let's see how we can get the information out there.
Okay, everybody, sign up.
That's my pep talk for humanity. I need help. Tesla did not have the internet. If Tesla would have had the internet, we would have been miles ahead of the game. But he did not have the internet. He was alone.
And as far as you know, you're the only person that's doing this.
With this type of instrumentation, yes. Yeah. Again, to be clear, I'm not the original inventor. Galen Hieronymus was the inventor of this instrument. I've perfected it. I work with engineers and manufacturers to the point where we have amplified the energy. But I don't know of anybody else who's continuing on with the work of Hieronymus. That's two if you will, 2 generations ago. Hieronymus was born in 1895. That's a couple generations back.
Yeah. So here's my final question. Given, as I introduced myself, my middle name is Skeptic. I'm not coming from skepticism. I'm coming from trying to understand the bigger picture.
Yes.
Of all of this. If you were to describe your ultimate fantasy, your vision board as to what you hope this attains for the world, how would you describe that? What would that look like to you?
Yeah. Within the next 5 years, hopefully, most of the people in the world will have heard of this, and we will have treated millions of photographs, maybe billions of photographs. It's so simple. So a photograph doesn't cost anything. The 15-day free session is free. Everybody in the world has a cell phone. So within the next 5 years, I want to treat millions, hundreds of millions, maybe billions of people. And once people say, yes, there's some validity to this, then we can take off. And then we can start working with anti-gravity and illuminating the world and being the power station for the world. But it has to be step-by-step progress.
And then everybody's cured. Everybody has their chakras balanced. Everybody's walking on water. What happens then? What does the world look like then?
Yeah, very good. Technology, used appropriately, should reduce the work week. Nobody should be having to work 40 hours a week. Let the energy work. Let the instruments work. Let the robots work. If we're really going to be an advanced society, all of the robots we have, all the automation, nobody should be working 40 hours a week anymore. I don't know why we're still working 40 hours a week anymore. I think it's an enslavement, if you will. What's the point of scalar energy? It will liberate mankind. If you have an instrument, you have energy that performs the work functions so we don't have to work. My goodness, that's the key here, people, to liberate mankind.
And what do we do all day?
I'll find something for you to do. You could socialize. You could read. You could spend more time with your family. there's no reason if we implement this technology, anybody should ever have to work 40 hours a week anymore. The energy will do the work for us. This is the new workforce.
Wow, I just can't even imagine not working as much as I do. So what is it just dawned on me, another question. I know I said that was the last one, but I lied. What about creativity? How does it help with creativity?
You know, many people, when they experience this chakra balancing, they say that their dream state is enhanced. Now, to be clear, I'm not a sleep therapist. So the energy, once again, is performing the healing, not me. And it seems that scalar energy will balance the chakras, will change our brain waves, will induce a very deep, meaningful sleep. So the key is this: the energy always heals. The energy is instructive. The energy always corrects as it needs to. Imagine if one instrument can work, I work with 500,000 photographs today. If one instrument can perform a chakra balancing on 500,000 people today and balance their chakras as needed, then that's homeostasis. That's energetic homeostasis. So the key is to get out of the way and let the divine force, let the Om force do the healing. We're healing the chakras. We're healing the, if you will, the energy field, the aura, the non-physical. This is the spirit energy that heals our force field or our chakras, or some people might call the soul or the spirit.
And so that naturally would enhance creativity and
Yeah, it goes hand in hand.
And if somebody doesn't believe in any of, I know I asked you about skeptics, but if somebody doesn't believe in God and energy and Om and all of that stuff, it still works, obviously.
Yes.
What do you say to them?
Try the 15-day free session, and then you interpret it. Now, let's be quite candid here. This is a new science. It's open to interpretation. The descriptions that I use are unique pursuant to this new technology. I don't expect everybody to understand this technology, and the words, the terminology that I use is again geared to, is, if you will, pursuant to my research. So my thoughts, my religious beliefs are peculiar to my person. At least try the sessions, then you develop your theory. It's wide open, people. There's no textbook that's been written yet. So this is a new science, and I want the general public to help me or somebody else write the textbook.
And so what if they don't have any reaction or nothing shifts for those skeptics?
It did, but it's imperceptible for you. But
Right.
Nonetheless, it's always favorable. If it's divine love, it's Om is only good. Consciousness is only good. It's not going to harm you. It will uplift you. You might not be able to pick that out, but it will uplift you.
And what if they don't even notice that because they're so caught up in their negativity?
Sometimes that happens, but it's
Yeah.
still going to be a powerful, meaningful shift, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah. Well, I said in the beginning that I had quite an amazing shift happen in my life, and I want to get your feedback from, we only have a couple minutes here, but I've been trying to accomplish something in my life for decades, but particularly the last year, I've been, full force trying to get this thing accomplished. And all of a sudden yesterday, I had this amazing miracle happen that hopefully means that I will accomplish this goal. Do things like that start happening from this?
Yes. I've had some parents tell me they put their kids on the program, and their kids have a much more meaningful approach to school. Their kids, their grades, their scores, their academic scores increase. Others say that this has given them, if you will, greater alignment, greater purpose in life. Some people say that this has been able to help them to deal with phobias or addictions, to overcome a negative consequence. Everybody's different. So in some way, this energy is downloading and correcting our conscience.
Wow. So that's all of this is just fabulous. And send in your photos, folks.
That's it. Yeah. Prove it to yourself.
Yeah. And it's okay to send somebody else's photo.
With their permission. Yeah.
Our permission. Okay.
By all means. and then, help me promulgate this research.
Yeah.
Again, I'm at this alone. I need help. Thank you to Mr. Buck. Thank you, Royce. Thank you for everybody in the Ohm community, Ohm Times community. Yes. This is how we get this new technology out there.
And give your contact information one more time because we've got to go.
Scalarlight.com. Visit the website, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. Keep up the good work. I'm sending positive energy and anything else I can send your direction.
Thanks for your effort.
Sure. And I'll see everybody in a couple weeks, and just send those photographs, and deserve to send those photographs. Thank you.